part of the story is I am actually a 20-year pancreatic cancer survivor and a 13, it'll be 14 years this year, breast cancer survivor. So
Wow.
me having those challenges of having, especially pancreatic cancer, that has made me be pre-diabetic for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
Our tequila was made in that fashion because if it has all these sugars and things like that, I can't drink it. So we like to say I created a tequila that I can actually drink. I did the whole thing. I went home and I started researching, and then you start scaring yourself because I
Yeah.
started looking at mortality rates and everything. I was like, nope, stop. And I got in my mindset, you know what? I will get past this. I will be fine. That is the mindset that I kept during the whole experience is I'm going to be fine. I got stuff to do. I got this live
I'm
for.
not going yet. Yeah.
Right. It's not time for me yet.
Welcome back to Mike It Loud. I'm Brittany Racine. In today's episode, I am talking with Nayana Ferguson, co-founder of Anteel Tequila, a Detroit-born, award-winning tequila brand with a story that goes way deeper than what's in the bottle. From becoming the first Black woman to own and lead a tequila brand, to surviving cancer twice, she is building a business that aligns with her health, values, and vision. This conversation is about resilience, intention, and learning to be the best by asking questions and pivoting when life throws you curveballs. This was my first virtual recording that I had. My mic is a little bit, I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or what, but it doesn't really matter what I'm saying. Nayana sounds great. She's the one that we're here to listen to. You will definitely be inspired by her story. So grab yourself a margarita and turn it up. Today, I am here with Nayana, who is the co-founder of Anteel Tequila that was founded right here in Detroit. And I actually did meet you. This is such like fun fact here. I met you it was at Moot's Pizza.
Okay.
I think it was you.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't?
Was somebody who works for us.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
I swear the person said they were the owner. I got excited. I thought there was going to be some kind of tie-in, and I'm like, we reconvened after all these years, but I guess not. Right. But I know she was telling me that it was the first Black-owned tequila company based out of Detroit. Is that correct?
So I became the first Black woman-owned tequila brand owner or leader of a tequila brand we launched in 2018. And we found out this information in 2019 that there were no other Black women in the space. So when we launched, I essentially became the first Black woman to lead a tequila brand, to own a tequila brand. And that was actually put out there by the Smithsonian as well. They created a Wikipedia page for me because they did do, back in 2023, they did a whole research study on women and specifically Black women in the food and beverage space. Yeah. And they found out that I was the first Black woman to own and lead a tequila brand. And so they created a Wikipedia page for me.
Okay, that's what stood out to me because I was like, oh, because they were like sampling them up at the bar. We were there for like a private party. Yeah. And the girl I was talking to was explaining it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like so interesting. I can't wait to try all the tequilas. But again, that was like 2 years ago. So then when I was talking to my friend Katie, who referred you to the podcast, she was telling me that, and I'm like, wait, I know this brand. I was like, I tasted it before. Like it was very like it stuck out to me. Like, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about, actually.
Yeah, it's so funny. Awesome. I'm always I always find it a surreal thing when people know my story. You know, they'll come up even to family members who are still in Detroit, and they say they'll go to a store or they'll go to a place that has our tequila. And if somebody's there that really loves the tequila, they start telling them about it and
they tell them the story.
And my family members are like, yeah, I know her. Yes, it's hilarious.
That's awesome,
but, it's good.
I love that like totally just brings it around that like stories totally make impact in people's lives, and that's so cool to hear.
You know, it's weird for me because then people are all out here telling the story, and I'm like, me? You talking about me?
Right, but you're like, at least it's a positive story. At least I didn't, climb to the top doing something weird.
Yeah.
Tequila is also like my jam. Like I'm a tequila girl. Like I used to drink vodka back when I was like underage.
Yeah.
Way back in the day before I knew what was good, right? Yeah, and like no, if I'm going liquor, like I'm only tequila. Like strictly tequila. So I'm like, this is such a good fit for me right now. So I went to Total Wine to grab some tequila last night. I have it here. I
Hmm.
got the coconut lime.
It's the
I'm
world's only coconut lime. So yes.
Yeah, it's so good. I am a Blanco girl. Like my boyfriend is like an añejo or a pasado guy. I'm a Blanco girl, and like I was kind of like, oh, I wonder if this is gonna be like, that coconut 1800. That ain't it.
No.
That is not it. This is
No.
so good.
So one reason for that is, and part of the story is, I am actually a 20-year pancreatic cancer survivor and a 13, it'll be 14 years this year, breast cancer survivor. So me
Wow.
having those challenges of having, especially pancreatic cancer, that has made me be pre-diabetic for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
And if I don't, take care of it, I will lose, the rest of the pancreas that I have left, and I will be on an insulin pump. So I'm really trying not to do that. So our tequila was made in that fashion and for that fashion, because if it has all these sugars and things like that, I can't drink it. So we like to say I created a tequila that I can actually drink. And that, people who follow my story, who come and ask me about those type of things, I educate them on about drinking just different spirits. And tequila is just, especially over the years, have been proven to be a better spirit to drink if you're really trying
Mhm.
to look at what you're drinking, because it grows from a plant, so it's naturally gluten free. I won't say zero, but I will say low, 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 low sugar,
Yeah.
or carbs. Tequila is a probiotic and a prebiotic. So, what I'm saying, we try to give more information to people regarding tequila, because we know everybody has the spring break, like you
Mhm.
said, underage drinking, and you can't afford a good,
No.
bottle or something. You had the jungle juice, you had the garbage juice,
Yeah,
and
you got the
then
plastic bottle.
right, and then you top it off with a mixto, or usually it's a
Yeah.
gold tequila that everybody knows
Mhm.
that they topped it off with, and then they blame tequila. Like, the next day I felt terrible about, like, I'm not drinking tequila again. I'm like, but you forgot all that other stuff you were drinking. You was
Right.
mixing everything, and then you topped it off with sugar. So why do
Yeah.
you blame tequila? So we try to educate people. People are really steadfast. I know I can't drink tequila, but I have found that educating people over the years, they've been like, yeah, no, maybe you're right. I didn't have
Mhm.
the right type
No,
of
it's yeah.
brand. I mean, I encountered a gentleman, he was 68 years old. And I was at a tasting, and he told me, yo, I don't mess with tequila. I'm bourbon and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so what's the story? Well, I
I
was
did
16
17
years
shots.
old
Yeah.
and I had some tequila. I was like, first of all, you were 16, so you was under drinking. You probably had a $10 bottle of
You
tequila,
had El Toro.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's your experience. So that's why you don't drink tequila. Got it.
Right. No, I was turned to tequila because my boyfriend was like, "Oh no, you're just drinking the wrong tequila," and I'm like, and he's
Mhm.
bougier than I am in general,
Yeah.
but when I started drinking it, I was like, you know what? It is way better. It's cleaner. I don't feel nasty later. I don't get a headache the next day. Like it's so
Yeah.
much better. But so I got this yesterday, and whoever the guy was at Total Wine, he was talking it up too because he's like, "What are you looking for?" I was like, "I know exactly what I'm looking for. Like I'm on a mission right now. It was kind of late. Like we've had a million snow days. I'm like, please, for the love of God, we need school back." So I grabbed the tequila, and he's like, "Oh, like that one's so good." Like he was talking it up, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right, what do you recommend I mix it with?" But I was like, I don't like sweet, so like
Mhm.
I like a margarita, but I hate pre-made margarita mixes. Just like that's too much sour for me.
Mhm.
I like a tequila soda with lime, just super basic. So I'm like, what do you recommend I put it with? Because we got some flavors here going on, so maybe I don't need a whole lot.
You
He
don't.
recommended a tequila mix. It was called like Filthy Margarita at Total Wine, and it was so good. Like I only mixed the two of those because I was like, shoot, it says add agave, and I forgot that I threw out the agave because I haven't used it in like 2 years. So last night I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna do this tequila, a little bit of that mix and soda, and it was so good. And even like I had my boyfriend try it. Like I told you, he's like the bougie and yeho kind of guy, and he was like,
Yeah.
"That is so good, actually." Like I really was like thought the flavor was gonna throw it off, and he's like, "It's so good. It's just like smooth. I feel like you can taste the cleanness out of it, which is I would not just say that."
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it is what you have is the world's only coconut lime blanco. So it is made from the natural extract from the meat of the coconut and the meat of the lime. So we do even tell people if you're allergic to coconut, don't drink it because it
It's
has those
real.
natural oils in it. And we don't add sugar to it. So it is actually our bestseller and most awarded. We've won 126 awards so far with our since 2019. So we are
Wow.
actually one of the most awarded tequila brands on the market, and that one has about 39 of its own, just because of what it is. It's the world's only one. It's very natural. It's very clean. Most of the time when people ask me about a cocktail or something, I drink it neat.
Mhm.
Sometimes I may add a splash of pineapple juice because I'm not trying to add too much sugar.
Mhm.
But we do a lot of ranch waters with the
Yeah.
coconut lime. So ranch water is basically just the tequila and some sort of tonic water, usually Topo Chico or something.
Yeah.
You can do it in a mule. Of course, it makes a fabulous margarita, whether you use that mix or you can use your own. They used really margaritas back in the day was just tequila, agave, and a squeeze of lime.
Have you ever eaten this is really random, and I wasn't even gonna bring it up, but I
Yeah,
just went to Tulum for New Year's, and I told
yeah.
you that. Have you ever had a tequila shot with a cricket? Where you
Not
eat the cricket, and then you, like, take the shot, and then I think I licked an orange. Right, and
I've had the dry crickets. Was it the
yeah,
dry?
it wasn't like a raw cricket. It was, like, deep fried or something.
Yeah, I've had the dry crickets. Yes.
It wasn't that bad. I really
Yeah.
thought it was gonna be, like, nastier. I'm like, "It kinda tastes like a sunflower seed," but I didn't, like, fully chew it was one of those, like, get it out of here quick.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
It's not. It's not. I just can't do. I rather when they do it that it's dried and ground up, so I don't need
You
to
don't
see it
notice
as a
it?
body and as a cricket
Oh,
body.
no, I pulled the legs off because the legs kinda freaked me out. I really wanna get into this story, but I have one more random question about
Yeah.
this. Okay, you know how sometimes there is, like, a worm in the bottom of a tequila bottle?
That's usually mezcal.
Yeah. Is something wrong with the worm? Because somebody told me one time, like, "Never eat that worm, it's, like, poisonous or something."
No, so the worm was a marketing thing with mezcal because the worms feed off the agave plants.
Oh,
And so it was more of a marketing thing. It is a worm, and I mean, it's dead because it's in alcohol.
yeah.
It's not necessarily poisonous that I know of, but
Yeah.
I'm not eating it. So
I don't wanna eat it either. Isn't that such a random marketing thing? They're like, "You know what? Let's put a bug in this," and people are
yeah,
really gonna want it, but it
because they
works.
live on the plant. So they're like, oh, let's just go ahead and take these off and put them in the bottle.
Maybe one of them fell in one time and they're like, "We can't waste these.
Probably,
Leave it."
probably.
That's so funny. I needed to know the history because 'cause I'm like, "Alright, she's gonna know the answer. She's the
Yeah,
tequila
that's
girl."
it was a marketing thing. So
That's wild. So
yeah.
what did you do I guess let's back up a little bit. Before you even thought of the tequila company and you're like, Let's start our own," what were you doing before that? Obviously, you said you had cancer, but was that prior to starting a company?
Yeah, I had pancreatic cancer in 2005. I had breast cancer in 2014. So we didn't start the tequila. We actually started the company for the tequila in 2017. But prior to that, and actually, I was still working the first 4 years that we started our brand. I was still working in corporate. So I am by career a financial analyst, and I was in automotive, of course, Detroit.
Or
For
Motor
many
City?
many years. Try not to tell my age, but many many years. And both my husband and I were in executive level positions, and because he was a VP of operations at Rocket Mortgage, Quicken Loans, or whatever it's called now.
Motor
And and we had a little money saved, and we were like, and more so it came to this point because me being in finance, a lot of times at that moment in time, they were outsourcing to Mexico. So they were
Mhm.
getting rid of the teams here in the US and, outsourcing to Mexico. So my husband was like, we're too smart. We need to look at doing something else. So we started looking at businesses maybe or franchising something. And we had as I call it, a couch conversation.
Mhm.
I said, if you could do anything, what would you do? And he was like, well, I would own a tequila brand, a tequila company, but there's no way we can do that. And I was like, why not? And at that time, I was actually laid off from a position and I had some time and I went to look in and everything. So actually 2 days later, I found the distillery that we work with still today. And got samples sent to us maybe within the first 3 months. They
Where
sent us
was it out of?
samples. So tequila has to be made in Mexico.
Yes,
So
it was out of Mexico?
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
We actually partner with one of the most awarded distilleries in Mexico, and it is woman owned as
Awesome.
well. So, just asking them a lot of questions. I have a business background because I do have an MBA, but it was never in liquor. I've had other businesses doing other things, and
Mhm.
so did my husband. So we had business foundational, principles and things to do, but liquor is a different beast. So it was a
Yeah.
learning process, on the job. But yeah, I got the sample set. We had a nice little tasting party with friends to see about the base of what we got. And then we started planning after that. We created our recipes, I like to say, through FedEx and Google because
Mhm.
we weren't traveling to Mexico at that time. So we were working with the distillery, back and forth. And we created the world's only coconut lime Blanco tequila and our reposado. Both of those were our first two expressions that came out.
Awesome. That's so insane to go from, like, finance and car industry to tequila. I mean, I love it.
It was a weird year, 2017. Me and my husband actually got married that year.
Uh-huh.
We started the tequila brand and he quit the job that he was at that year, all within 6 months. So it was a
Wow.
chaotic year of
Well,
sorts.
yeah, when it rains, it pours, but sometimes with good things, right? When you're busy, you just get busy.
I mean, we're here almost 8 years later. So, I mean,
That's amazing. So did it, like how did you start? So once you kind of figured out the formula of it, when you were like, "Okay, you know what? This is it. This is the flavor." What did you do after that? Were you like, "We need to come up with a name?" How do you launch? Like, how do you even go about, like, "Where do we take this?" So, like, I guess 2017 was maybe easier than now because I feel like all of a sudden, like after COVID, like people got rich overnight, right? Because they were TikToking, they were on the internet, and they were trying a bunch of different things, and they were cryptoing and cloud storaging and doing all these
right.
things that like just went up so quickly.
Yeah.
But how do you even like you get the brand and or like you get the secret formula? How do you even go about like how do you know what the next step is and where do you go with that?
Well, that comes with somebody like me who's a planner and who asks questions. I was asking questions of the distillery who, we work with. They were very open at that time about answering questions. But, while we were doing this, we were actually researching. We were going to bars, not a
Mm.
hardship, going to restaurants and bars and
We're having
talking to
fun.
bartenders like, hey, so, what when you're in, happy hour and is fast paced, like what type of bottles are better for you? What type of, labels look well? We were doing all of this research um before we even, started to launch the brand because we had to have a bottle, we had to have a name, we had all of these
Yeah.
things
The
set.
aesthetic matters.
Huh?
I said the aesthetic totally matters.
It does. It
Even
does.
like last night when I was on my way home, I was showing a house to my friend and I'm like, I gotta go pick up this tequila. And then I got home and she's like, did you find the tequila? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, send me a picture of the bottle. And I sent it to her and she's like, ooh, I like the design. It's so pretty. Like that's the first thing people think.
Yeah, and what's funny is because that is our new label because we've, us being on the market for several years, we had to, do a rebrand and
Right.
to
Yeah.
be more premium,
Yeah.
because these what you see behind me, the black ones, those were the initial labels and
Okay.
those are the new labels.
Mhm.
So it just shows our growth getting more into that premium space. But when we started, we did a lot of research and me asking the distillery, like, okay, so how do we launch this? And they were like, well, especially in Michigan, Michigan is a control state. So you do need, it's called an ADA, and you need a broker or distributor there. And so we reached out to a couple of companies that are in Michigan that are, brokers, dealers, and ADAs. And we found the one that we still work with today. And, we it was on the job training type of thing.
Yeah.
And it truly, when I got the tequila here, these are our roles, with my husband. I said, okay, I will make this tequila and I will get it here. Once I get it here, you got to sell it.
Yeah.
So that's our roles. I'm logistics, I'm operations, I'm finance, he's marketing, sales, that type of thing. And those are still our roles today.
I love that though. And I feel like that's so important because especially when you get into a space with a partnership for sure, but especially like your partner, your life partner,
Yeah.
like things can get messy because I mean, but it's nice that you guys have similar background also because I
Yeah.
my boyfriend and I are both in real estate
Okay.
and we work together well, but we also do things very differently. So like
Exactly.
we're just getting into like the building and development space and like I know going into it that we're gonna have our roles.
Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and
Yeah.
you have to be honest about that. And truly, like you said, when you're working with a partner, you have to have different lanes,
Oh yeah.
to be able to work together. And no matter where, if you have a disagreement over here personally, you still have to do business, and vice
Yep.
versa. You got a disagreement over here in business, you still are personally, connected. So it's just, a balance in finding that over the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, definitely figuring out what is worth fighting over and what isn't, right?
Exactly.
I also love that you say you just ask questions
Yeah,
because
I
that's
do.
like one of my things that I'm like, why do people just not ask? Because like whoever your distillery person is, that's all they work with is people who also do that. So they know what
Yeah.
works, and it's like probably a lot of their clients are not going to be competing with you because of geographical locations. And I think that's really interesting to see how far you've come just by asking questions and just
Mhm.
getting in the room with people who even like waitresses, like, "Hey, how I don't know how you can help me. Okay, what bottles work better?" It's like
Right.
all those little things matter so
All of
much.
those things. That's what I'm saying. Us talking to bartenders, and our bottles are wine, like a lot of people say, but
Mhm,
you have to look at, just like, with real estate, is location, especially in a store, and that costs money, when
mhm.
on a shelf or something like that, and you have this wide
That
bottle,
bottle, yeah.
they're like, it's hard
Clunky.
to put on a shelf, to be uniform.
In
And
a
also,
bar, it takes up more space in that
right,
little thing that they're doing, so
that,
they're like,
that's
"Well,
real
let's just put
estate.
that one in the back." Yeah.
Yeah, that real estate. So that, and also bars and restaurants, they are trying to pack in bottles, and you got this gigantic bottle. It's like they're gonna put that to the side because that's not uniform, or
Yeah,
not gonna be able to fit in the space that they have. So we
exactly.
asked all those questions, and even with the black labels that we used to have, um, the reason we did that, and all the birds, the hummingbirds on our logo, they're iridescent and they shine, so when
Mhm.
light comes on them, that's why we were
Yeah,
looking at, bars and restaurants. We were like, "Okay, so if the light falls on it, can you kinda see it?" We were doing all this stuff.
it's so
So, yeah.
pretty.
Yeah, we were doing all kinda research,
You were
back
thinking
then.
everything. Don't you think it would have been way easier to do now that you have AI? You're like, I could have chat
Oh
GPT'd
my
like
god, yes.
you're like, I could have skipped 3 years. But the
It would've
research
been
was
so
fun
much
because I got to go
easier.
hang out at the bars and sip all the things, right?
It would've been so much easier, but,
Yeah.
AI wasn't like it is back
There's respect
then.
in the hustle. There's respect in the hustle for sure. So where'd you come up with the name and like the hummingbird and
So
what's the
Anteel,
background?
is short for the Antillean crested hummingbird, is an actual species of hummingbird. And when me and my husband got engaged, so the story is, what I used to do is I used to try to do surprises, and I did a surprise trip for him for his birthday in
Mhm.
February that year, to the Dominican Republic. He had never been. He did not know where we were going till we got to the airport. And we had already been talking about getting engaged and stuff. And so, truly, our conversation was, after we got back from this trip, we were going to look at rings, all this other
Yeah.
kind of stuff. He upped my surprise by proposing. So,
What else do? He
right,
stole
what
your
up? It was
surprise.
his surprise birthday, and then he surprise proposed. So,
Oh my gosh.
so that weekend, of course, drinking, celebrated. We were drinking tequila, and we were at a restaurant one night, and we looked up while we were talking about our future and stuff like that, and we saw hummingbirds.
Oh.
And it kind of stuck with us because that was in 2016. So the year later, when we truly started the company and the brand and started talking about it, we wanted something personal to us,
Mhm.
but also hummingbirds have a great mythology in the Latin culture as well. So it truly, really resonated with us to use the hummingbird. The coconut lime and the reposado, those were the first two expressions that we came out with in 2018. In
Okay.
2019, we came out with the Blanco because a lot of restaurants and bars was like, do you just have a Blanco? 2021, we came out with the blood orange because Coconut lime is a bestseller most awarded, but there are people who are allergic to coconut. Nobody's allergic that I know of to blood orange. There could
Right.
be some, but I haven't met them yet. But so the blood orange came out in 2021, and we launched that on National Tequila Day. That
Oh,
year, we created a whole marketing scavenger hunt. People were going around because we only had about 200 cases on the market. And so everybody was looking, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, we were going to finish our traditional line, Blanco Repo with
mhm.
the Añejo, and the Añejo came out in 2023.
Awesome. Yeah, I gotta get the rest of it. I gotta get my hands on the rest of these ones. How do you think growing up in Detroit shaped your resilience and business mindset?
So part of my story that my husband always tells me that I don't talk about enough. So I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I am a West Sider for people who know about Detroit. I went to Cass Tech, which a lot of people know because it's a,
Mhm,
major high school in Detroit. What helped me being a Detroit kid is resilience, and a lot of things is because of the character that I created or that was put upon me because I actually grew up in a domestic violence home as well.
uh,
So having that type of resilience, having that type of toughness, adaptiveness, all of those things are truly what helped me through life, period. I mean,
mhm,
growing up that way and then over the years, having these other challenges with pancreatic cancer and also breast cancer. I am a national speaker regarding just different things. People contact me to speak at events for having faith in self,
mhm.
for mindset, and things like that. So all of those were really created in me in Detroit. Growing up in Detroit.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm a huge mindset person too, but I do feel like a lot of times, especially like the younger the struggles start,
Hmm.
it's like you have to just like adapt around it because like how do you survive? But it's
I
like
mean,
you
I
can
had
either take
to.
that and sink or take that and say, you know what, I'm going to build a tequila company.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, like I said, I had other different companies prior to.
Yeah.
They weren't as big as the tequila, but I had some for several years as well. And it was always me just trying to find my space and always me trying to try something else.
Mhm.
Here in Atlanta, they're known as hustlers, but Detroit is hustle city as
Yes.
well. And it was always, I always had a corporate job and something else on the side. I've always had more than one thing
Yeah.
that I was doing growing up. My dad and my stepmother at the time had a catering company. So,
Okay.
me and my siblings were brought in to work, and we had the little
Mhm.
baby blue outfits at serving food at events and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I learned from a young age how to cook, how to do presentations, and all of that. And that morphed itself into me being a personal chef for a while. One of the things that I did learn about myself back then, me being a personal chef and creating dishes, that was the piece that I loved. The business part I didn't love so much.
Yeah, the creativity is fun and, like, getting to make something of your own, but yeah, the behind the scenes in that is
Is
a
yes,
headache.
is not for the weak. I mean, in the tequila industry or spirits industry is not for the weak either, but
Mhm.
the restaurant industry is another one that's like, eh. And I was younger back then too. So, I was climbing a corporate ladder, but then I was having my own other stuff on the side. So
Right, and then the economy was whack too, and it's like people quit eating, but they did not quit drinking.
it's and that's what happened during COVID because right before COVID, 2019 was our first full year on the market. We launched in August of 2018, but our first full year was 2019. So we're revving up. We were just in Michigan at the time.
Yeah,
In February of 2020, we were like, yep, we're about to go to California and
for the
Florida.
best year
We're
yet.
about to do all this stuff, right?
Yeah,
And COVID happened. So we
yeah.
had to pivot because, during that time, social media, you had a captive audience.
Mhm.
And we really start putting it out there with social media marketing. And then we partner with a retailer that was doing our online orders and stuff like that. So our business actually tripled during that time
Really?
because everybody was drinking. Because
I mean, everybody was drinking, but it's like if they don't even know they can drink it, that's hard. I'm sure it's like you go into 2020 and you're like, "Okay, here's like our marketing campaign, like
yes,
we're new, we're ready,
yeah,
we
right.
tested the waters a little bit," and then you're like, "Oh, throw this out and come up with an entirely new thing."
We had to
But
pivot.
I'm glad that you guys capitalized on that and went for the, virtual route, which is hard when you're selling a product that someone's ingesting. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like they're buying leggings or
Right.
something, they're tasting it. So
No,
did you hit it hard on like TikTok or
we were it was mostly it wasn't even TikTok back then. It was mostly Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that,
yeah.
during that time, 2020. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was because it was Black-owned brand, there was a lot because George Floyd happened at that time.
Mhm.
It was just a lot of that stuff about supporting a woman-owned brand, a
Yeah.
Black-owned brand. I think people were drinking because nobody knew really what was going on, and
Yes.
everybody was afraid. And but we ended up doing virtual tastings. We had several companies reaching out to us because companies were doing you know their group type of activities, and they actually one company, they did a virtual tasting. It was funny. It was fun. They
Awesome.
paid us. We sent them like small, like 50 meals out to one of them was like 100 people or something, and they paid us to send it out, and then we did a whole virtual tasting with them online.
Whoever that boss is, I want them. They're like, you know what? Don't quit. I'm gonna send you some alcohol. We'll have a meeting.
Right? I mean, we had little recipe cards and tasting, notes and everything.
That's fun. I wish I was doing something like that during COVID. I was getting divorced.
A lot of people were.
I had
Yeah,
like year that year.
a lot
Yeah.
of people were during that time.
Mhm.
And I understand. It was a rough time.
We made it through. It was rough though. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
made it through. It was a rough time though, but yeah, I mean, and I think that just kept the momentum because as we were doing virtual tastings, then people was like, "No, I actually tried it. I loved it. You should go
Yeah,
get
it
it."
was really
Word
good.
of mouth type of thing. So yeah.
Was there ever a time with the tequila company that you thought like this was a bad idea? Like I want to throw the towel in. Like what was was there ever a time that like almost broke you, but you were like, I'm not giving up yet?
I think with any business, you always get those type of times. There's been several times because we've encountered so many different challenges. Like a lot
Mhm.
of people don't understand when you have a liquor brand, and specifically tequila, because tequila has to be made in Mexico and
Imported,
it has
yeah.
to be imported. So I actually work with the U.S. government and the Mexican government. And so
Mhm.
a lot of people don't understand about that, and they don't understand that if I change just one thing on the label, both governments have to approve it.
Oh yeah.
And so I
Anything
had
with
a
the government involved, it's gonna be a pain.
a challenge a couple years ago where we had to change our label for some it was something they changed with the labeling requirements because they do require certain things to be on labels, even for spirits. And there was some I had to change. And I changed it and it was approved, right? We get
Mhm.
all our new labels done, blah, 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 blah. And then it was approved by the Mexican government. When I get to the US government, they're like, well, and I changed like one word. They didn't approve it for something else that was already that was
Oh, they
already
changed
approved
all the
previously.
rules.
And I was like, "But
Yeah.
this was already approved, like, I changed this other word, but you're saying no
They're
for
like, "We
something
decided
that
we don't
was
like
already
that anymore." Yeah.
right?" And so I had to get all new labels again
Oh, what a pain. This sounds like an
because they would
HOA.
not approve them, and so that cost money.
Yeah.
I had to, get rid of the labels that,
Time.
it's time because we had a new shipment trying to come and, gonna run out of inventory. It was a mess, and I was like, "What the hell are we doing?"
Right. Oh, that sounds terrible. I was almost gonna say which government's worst to work with, but I guarantee it's ours.
It's not
I
the
mean,
Mexican.
there's a ton of rules. I mean, think about it. When you go through customs, they're like, "Do you even have so much as a banana in your bag?" Like,
Right.
like we don't care if you bring whatever back, but there better not be fruit. You know what I mean? Like, what is with the fruit? They're freaked out about the fruit, so I can't imagine like a controlled substance too. It's like that's got to be a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, it's a lot, but thankfully we have a company that does helps us with the compliance and, anything that we need to know that are changing in any of the states that we're in.
Which one's your favorite? Let me guess.
I can't say
Roast
favorite
marrow.
because, you're not supposed to have a favorite kid, but
Ugh,
I
depends on the day, though, right?
right. But I could say the most that I drink of is actually the reposado. I drink it neat.
I knew it.
And I do drink the coconut lime. But that's more of like that's a
Were
movie.
you
But
both like, were you both tequila people, or was it the cancer that like made you kind of be like, okay, tequila is the best option for me?
he was the snob. He was the tequila snob when I met him.
Yeah.
I was drinking tequila, but I wasn't drinking it like that, and I was drinking maybe 1 glass of wine because me and wine, I don't like dry wine, and I only like sweet wine, and I really couldn't drink it because it's
Just too
got
much sugar.
sugar and stuff like that. So I would drink like 1 glass of wine, and I would be like, "Oh, I don't feel good." And
Yeah.
then we started dating, and he was the one getting different tequilas. When we would go out and stuff, he was like, let's try something we haven't tried before. So then, of course, we started researching for the company, and started finding out, more about it and being educated about it. And so then, yeah, then it was like, oh, well, with my history, this is
You're
something
feeling
that's
too
a
well.
little bit better for me than, what I have
Mhm.
been drinking. Any
Yeah.
doctor will tell me I'm not supposed to be drinking. I understand this, but I am a human being. So it's like I had to educate myself on what is the best option.
Right, for sure. You're like, "I wanna live, I wanna enjoy my life."
Because every time I go to be like, you're like a walking miracle, with this
Yeah.
pancreatic cancer.
Oh, so you said pancreatic was what, 2005?
5.
That is crazy. So I feel like I've only known, like, 2 people who ever had it, and it's, like, so aggressive. So how did you find out that you had it, and were you like, how do you even navigate some kind of news like that? Because I feel like that one is, like, the one I definitely don't wanna find out I have.
So first of all, I was 32 at the time. I was going
So
through a divorce.
oh my gosh, okay.
And who's my oldest daughter now, she was only 8 at the time. And I found out because I was actually going to work one day. It was Halloween. And I feel so bad because I had told my daughter, I was like, when I get home, we're gonna get your costume on and go trick or
Yeah,
treating. That never happened. Because when I was driving, my teeth start chattering. I'm in the car though, and I had heat on and I had boots on,
yeah,
coat. It's Detroit, right?
yeah,
But my teeth started chattering and I couldn't stop them. And I was already um only like 10 minutes away from work. And when I got there, a security guard for the building, I was like, something's wrong. Can you call an ambulance or something's wrong with me? And
something's
you
like
know how
yeah,
you feel, your body.
yeah,
It's like something is wrong. And when the EMTs got there, they were like, you have 106 fever. And I was like, no, I'm freezing. I am freezing. I need
yeah,
cold. I need something. They was like, no, your body is 106. You are near seizure territory. So we gonna take you to the hospital. So you're there and they're trying to figure it out. And I'm freezing, but they're trying not to put me in an ice bath because I was like, I'm freezing. Uh
yeah,
and
horrible.
yeah, I mean, long story short, they started doing tests and they found a mass on my pancreas because they can't say cancer at that moment in time.
Right.
Like, so yeah, you're gonna have to be admitted because one, this fever of yours, and two, you have a mass on your pancreas. And then I had HAP, so Health Alliance Plan insurance,
Mhm.
and they transferred me to Henry Ford downtown because I had HAP. And I do remember when they were wheeling me in from the ambulance, they took me in the oncology ward, and I was like,
This doesn't sound
hell?
good.
What is
Yeah,
going on? And so this was Monday. By Thursday, my fever had broke. They were giving me cocktails. They were doing all kind of stuff to get this
yeah,
fever down. But by Thursday it broke and I met with my doctor who was a surgeon and he's like, so yeah, so we're gonna give you're gonna have to have a pancreas, da, la, la, la. It's called a
yeah.
whippet, but it's got 30 letters in it. And he
Do you even know what a pancreas is or what it does?
yeah,
Do I have one?
I do. I mean, I do now. Of course,
Mhm.
way more than I did then at
Right.
32. I wasn't really
I
paying
know, but if you don't need to know what it is or what it does, I feel like we just like, we'll figure it out later, you know?
right. And at that time, again, I was on the corporate track and I'm 32 and I'm just like, okay, so are we gonna do some laser, something? And he's like,
Yeah,
no. He looked at me like, no, woman, little crazy woman, no,
yeah.
you're gonna have to have a surgery and it's a major
Like tomorrow.
surgery.
Yes.
And we're gonna have to plan it very quickly. So I went in the hospital on Monday. I got out that Saturday and I had another a week. And then I had the surgery Monday, November 14th, that year. And it was an 8-hour surgery. They cut off the head of my pancreas. They took out my gallbladder. They took out 25% of my stomach, and they took out the beginning of my small intestine, which is called your duodenum duct. So they took all of that out, and then they rearranged everything. And
Yeah.
8 hours later, I woke up. So I did have to do radiation for 6 weeks. I refused chemotherapy because I did a lot of research during that time as well that chemotherapy kills bad cells, but good cells too. And
Right.
that was going to be a last resort for me. They did. So I did do a series of radiation, and I was like, I will see how this goes, whether I will do chemo or not. And at that moment in time, um, I didn't have any more cancerous, cells in those areas, so I didn't end up having to have chemotherapy, thank God.
Amazing. And then you had to do all of this over again with breast cancer.
Yeah, so I got breast cancer in June of 2014, and, I mean, prior to that, you're supposed to check, as a
Mhm.
woman, check yourself, and I did, and, I noticed a lump. But I didn't go right away. I was just like, oh, because sometimes women, during your cycle or something, you have some lumps and bumps here
Yeah,
and there, right? And
right.
so that's kind of what I thought it was. But then it kept growing and it kept hurting. And so 3 months went by, and I probably should have went earlier, but 3 months
Mhm.
went by, and I finally got a mammogram, and they're like, oh yes, so we're gonna have to do a biopsy on this. And they did a biopsy, 8 needles. And they're
Wow.
like, "Oh, so yeah, well, you're gonna have to have surgery."
What stage was it in at that point?
Thankfully, it was a stage 2.
Okay.
So, that's why I'm still here here that's why I'm still here with
Yeah,
pancreatic
thank
cancer,
God you went.
because if my pancreatic cancer was stage 4, I would not be here. Um, and, I had a lumpectomy on June 14th that year, and, yeah,
Which one was more terrifying?
pancreatic cancer.
I mean, that one I feel like you just get, like, hit by a brick wall.
I always tell people I did the whole thing. I went home and I started researching, and then you start scaring yourself because I
Yeah,
started looking at mortality rates and everything. I was like, nope, stop. And I got in my mindset, you know what? I will get past this. I will be fine. And that is the mindset that I kept during the whole, experience is I'm going to be fine. I got stuff to do. I got things to live
I'm
for.
not going yet,
Right, right,
yeah.
right. It's not time for me yet.
I think
And
that makes such a huge difference, like, mindset
yeah.
in general, I think is, like it changes everything, but even, like, physically.
It does. I speak to pancreatic cancer patients now. I have several that I am a supporter of. So
Mhm.
they text me, I text them, check on them and stuff like that. Um, when you are in that space that you can be like, you know what, I have things to do, I have things to live for, I am still trying to be here. That is totally different than if you're like, "Oh my god, I'm about to die. Oh,
I'm so
woe is me," and
scared.
all that. You know what I'm saying? Your mind will believe what you tell what you tell it.
Yeah,
So I had an 80-year-old daughter. I was like, "No, I can't go anywhere." And then I was getting into a divorce. I was like, "I can't go anywhere because then she'll have to live with him." No, no, no,
yeah.
no. I was like, "No."
I feel like I say that all the time. My boyfriend is like, "You wanna go on the motorcycle?" I'm like, "I can't die." Do you realize that? I'm not going on
Right.
the motorcycle.
No, it's not time for
I
me.
know.
I got stuff to do.
No.
I
There's
couldn't
too
leave my
many things
daughter like
relying on
that,
me.
I couldn't leave my daughter, and then, it's a lot of people are like, "Well, you had another daughter." I was like, "Yeah, I had her after, pancreatic
Yeah,
cancer." She's 17 now, she'll be 18 this year, and they're like, "Wow, you had a baby after pancreatic cancer?" I was like, "I sure did."
I love that. That's amazing. You
Yeah.
have a great mindset, but I've also, like, just so much strength to get through these and still be positive and still try things
Yeah,
even though a lot of people wouldn't. Like, maybe they'd be like, I think I'm good on not having a baby now." Or maybe, I'm not gonna drink anymore." But you
yeah.
made a way for all of it. I love
Make a
that.
way for it. I'm still human, and I still and I get it, especially now because people are like, "Well, you could do a non-alcoholic drink." I could, and I do,
Mhm.
have them every now and then, but every now and then I do want something,
Yeah.
and that's why I made a tequila that I can drink.
That's amazing. You guys are selling in stores, you sell to restaurants, right? Both, like,
Mhm.
distributors, like, wine,
Yep.
what are the biggest, like, I guess, carriers if somebody wants to go find the tequila?
I mean, in Michigan, probably Total Wine, Kroger's, some of the Meyer, the Meyer, Rivertown ones, so they
Okay.
have that small Meyer in Royal Oak, and then they have the one on Jefferson in Detroit. We've been in those. But we're in a lot of stores, and truly, if people go to a store that they have a favorite store, if they don't have it, they can tell them to order it for them as well. So, like, if you had a
Mhm.
favorite store that you go to that's 5 minutes away, 2 minutes away from your home, they can order it for you. Um,
Like,
We're in several states, so that's the
okay.
same for any state that we're in. You know, we live in Georgia now. We're in over 200 something locations here. We launched in Georgia in 2021. It's just making sure keeping that momentum going. You know, the spirits industry was very challenging last year, 2025.
Mhm.
And so we're just trying to maintain and still be on a growth trajectory for 2026.
Yeah, what does this year look like? Like, what's on your docket for 2026?
Well, we do want to have another flavor come out, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do it this year just because of recovering from 2025. So we kind of
Yeah.
have to see. But we want to continue to maintain what we're doing. We are concentrating on several of the states that we do very well in. So like Michigan,
Mhm.
Georgia, Oklahoma, Mississippi, you know, a lot of those states.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's been so many different economic shifts in, like, the few years that you guys have been in business too, so it's like and
Yeah.
they're all different in different areas, so it's, like, adapting to all those changes that are, completely different to issues that you have with another place.
Yeah, it's a lot to navigate through, but it'll be 8 years, this August.
I love it.
So, you know, because people's like, "You still on the market, you good, you're good." Overall, of course, I'm proud of what we've done so far. I'm proud that over time, being in 15 states, and being able to have people, team members who work with us, in different states and stuff like that. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the story, that we have created. The fact that I am the first Black woman, you know, to do
Mhm.
this and stuff like that. So all of those things, absolutely, I'm proud of those. Those milestones that we've hit as challenging. So you got to keep it, you know, going as well as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you have that title, but I also love that you didn't even know the title was, like, up for grabs.
No, and it was my husband because when we launched in 2018, he was actually the face. So it's funny if people in Michigan know truly when we started who was the face. He was actually the face, of the brand, but he, you know, he's very integrated in the liquor industry. Even before we started,
Mhm.
he has a YouTube channel that he used to review liquors from all over the world, and so he was really learning a lot about liquors and just getting networking with people in the space. And he asked about five people. He said it just came to him one day, and he said he asked about five people in the liquor industry, are there any Black women who lead or own a tequila brand? And he said it took, you know, them all about 2, 3 weeks, and they came back and it was like, no. And he
There's
said, oh,
one.
this is what we're gonna run with because who knew? And then,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, my first article about it was in Forbes, but it came out March 1st of 2020.
Oh. Oh, really?
So it
Well,
got
everybody has
eclipsed
time to
by
read it.
COVID. It got eclipsed by COVID,
Dang.
but you know, that
Well,
first
we'll be back. We'll
article,
share it. We'll share it again.
yeah, I mean, that first article about me being the first Black woman was in Forbes. Michigan is our hometown where we started, where Anteel started, and you know,
I feel like it seems like a brand, a product, and a story that, like, Michigan and Detroit would just back. You know what I mean?
think they would. Me being
Like,
a Detroit, born and raised there with the Detroit public schools, but no, what's crazy is within the first 2 weeks of me moving to Atlanta, I got a proclamation from the city council for being a businesswoman and business executive, entrepreneur, being the first Black woman, blah, blah, blah. They
mhm.
gave me a proclamation here in Atlanta. They have not done anything like that in Detroit.
Detroit, come on, get it together now. We've backed the Lions for how many years now?
Right?
So, people who are listening that wanna follow you or connect with you or buy the tequila, what are, like, the socials they should be following? What are your handles on everything so they can connect?
So with our website for any online ordering, that is anteeltequila.com. And then for any socials is under Anteel Tequila. So yeah, we're on all of them. So, you know, and you can pull us up on Google. You can pull me up on Google. It'll point you to the right direction. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, this was so fun today. Now I wanna, like, make some more experimentation drinks with my
Yeah.
tequila, and I gotta find the other ones, but yeah, I
We have
love that.
recipes on our website, so as well.
You have what?
We have recipes on the website and our social media. So
Oh, good. I love watching those. I always see, like, some mixology thing going on, and I'm like, "Can someone make this for me because I have none of these ingredients?" But at least with this one, you don't really need ingredients because it's really good, just like simple and clean. You can tell that it's
I can
clean.
tell. I can tell when we drink now because of our palates, I can immediately tell if it has something in it. Add
Yeah.
to especially tequila. I can
Yeah.
tell.
And that's probably the most that I have to compare it with. And the only coconut one I think I've had is that 1800 one, which they say 1800 is like a good brand, but that is nasty.
So 1800 uses a sweetened coconut water for it. So that's the sugar piece.
Oh, okay. That seems weird to add coconut water to it. I don't know. That's interesting. All right, great. Well, it was so nice meeting you, and I love your story, and I love your mindset, and I'm obsessed with the fact that you are just like cranking away at the next thing, like fearlessly, no matter what the obstacle is.
I try.
All right.
I became the first Black woman owned tequila brand owner or leader of a tequila brand we launched in 2018. Part of the story is I am actually a 20-year pancreatic cancer survivor and a 13, it'll be 14 years this year, breast cancer survivor. So, me
Wow.
having those challenges of having, especially pancreatic cancer, that has made me be pre diabetic for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
And if I don't, take care of it, I will lose the rest of the pancreas that I have left and I will be on an insulin pump. So I'm really trying not to do that. So
Yeah.
our tequila was made in that fashion because if it has all these sugars and things like that, I can't drink it. So we like to say I created a tequila that I can actually drink. You're going to have a surgery, and it's a major
Like tomorrow.
surgery.
Yes.
And you're going to have a pancreas, da, la, la, la. It's called a whipple, but it's got 30 letters in it. And he,
I don't even know what a pancreas is or what it does.
yeah.
Do I have one?
Right there. 2019 was our first full year on the market. We launched in August of 2018, but our first full year was 2019. So we're revving up. We were just in Michigan at the time.
Yeah.
In February of 2020, we were like, yeah, we're about to go to California and
For the
Florida,
best year yet.
do all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And COVID happened. So we had
Yeah.
to pivot because, during that time, social media, you had a captive audience,
Mhm.
and we really started putting it out there with social media marketing. And then we partnered with a retailer that was doing our online orders and stuff like that. So our business actually tripled during that time
Really?
because everybody was drinking.
I
Because
mean, everybody was drinking, and then you had to do all of this over again with breast cancer
yes, I got breast cancer in June of 2014, and
to get through these and still be positive and still try things,
yeah,
even though a lot of people wouldn't. Like maybe they'd be like, I think I'm good on not having a baby now. Or maybe, I'm not going to drink anymore. But you made a way for all of it. I love
like
that. This conversation is such a reminder that resilience isn't loud, it's just consistent. I love that she incorporated a mindset component into all of the challenges that she encountered. Her story shows us that you don't have to wait for the perfect timing or perfect health or perfect situation to build something meaningful. Please share this episode with someone that you think would be inspired by this or touched by her story. Give us a 5-star, leave us a comment. Be sure to check out Anteel Tequila. Trust me, the coconut lime is my new favorite, and I'm not saying that just to say that. I have all of her info in the show notes if you want to order the tequila, if you want to follow on social. Support women-owned businesses, support Black-owned businesses, and never sell yourself short just because your mind thinks you can't do it. Nayana is an unbelievable representation of positive mindset and what you can do as long as you give yourself the right pep talk. Again, I'm Brittany Racine with Mike It Loud, and we'll see you next week.